Good morning, friends. And this is one of the best Sunday morning investments anyone could have made. For you've got with us somebody who's going to share with us his journey of how he personally overcame not one, not two, not three, but multiple obstacles that life had to serve him. It is rightly said, if life serves you, lemon, make a lemonade. But then a lemonade is not where our guest speaker for this morning stopped at. He made many more things with the lemon that life had served him.
Our guest
He used the
speaker
pip,
for this
he used
morning
the
stopped
peel,
that to make
he
many
used
more things.
everything and ensured that life comes back to him smiling. Uh, our guest this morning is Mr. Parimal Gandhi, who's been in the learning and development profession, a profession I belong to and I look up to him for the last 2 decades. He belongs to this profession and has invested more than 44 years. He's a result oriented, innovative, gifted, and acclaimed international facilitator, consultant, speaker, and author. A great book written by him, Surmount, is something which you can look up on Amazon and buy, or maybe you can, ask Mr. Gandhi himself, and he'll have it sent across. I have read that book, and trust me, the book is one piece of magnificent epic that once you pick up, you would not want to, let it down till you finish it in one go. By now, he has trained over 100,000 participants and 1,000 trainers in his trainer programs. His abiding interests lies in the application of timeless philosophies to human life for holistic learning, development, performance, and happiness. With academic backgrounds in chemical engineering, literature, and several international certifications, he orchestrates heartfelt learning experiences in his areas of interest, which are leadership, spirituality, teams, customer service, innovation, time management, and trainer training. His client list ranges from Fortune 500 companies to Navratna companies of India to small and tiny industries and families. He's spoken at several international conferences and works in India, Mexico, and the US. And if you were to look at some of his pictures on possibly on Facebook or some other places, you'd find him standing right next to the former president of Mexico. Uh, he has received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Indian Society for Training and Development and the VK Foundation Award for facing cancer multiple times with indomitable courage and resilience. To me, he's not just a trainer's trainer. To me, he's not just somebody in my profession I look up to. To me, he's one amazing source of continuous energy that keeps flowing incessantly, a love fountain that keeps flowing without a break. Wherever he may be, in Mexico, in the US, right now, he's in, Bangalore. He's been mesmerizing audiences for the last many, many, many years. Friends, without much delay, without taking much time between you and Mr. Gandhi, I'd like to present to you the man himself who surmounted many challenges many times over. Over to you, Parimal sir. Parimal sir.
Good morning, all of you. Good morning. It's a wonderful Sunday morning, and I want to thank Himadri for that warm introduction. He is a friend from whom I learn a lot all the time. He is full of energy and he has some incredible projects. All of us have incredible projects, but he carries them out. That's the difference. So delighted to be here with you people. Thank you for joining us from wherever you might be. And we are in for a roller coaster ride. And let me get right into it. If you would kindly share the screen, Himadri. Are you able to see it and hear it, folks? I hope so. You know, this little plant has been given tar and cement to grow in, and it has chosen to grow. What more can I say to begin this presentation? I want to ask you, how is the lockdown treating you? I would expect an objection to this question itself. I will tell you why. Because to people that are proactive, to people who want to live their lives, the correct question would be, so how are you treating the lockdown? How are you treating the lockdown? That is the question to be asked. This is how my life has been. This is Kaban Park in Bangalore, and there are two lions outside a court there. But sometimes the lion wakes up and tries to dislodge me, the lion being my life, and it tries to dislodge me, but I hang on for dear life. Let me give you a quick executive summary of what has happened, though Himadri has been kind enough to share with you. But still, I'm 66 years old, born in 1953. My life has really stretched me to my limits. And where my life has not stretched me, I have stretched myself. You know, you keep a rubber band as it is, it doesn't do anything. It's only when it stretches that it does its job. I have had 4 episodes of cancer, 3 of Hodgkin's disease, and 1 of bladder cancer. The last one was 2 years ago. I've had 2 near misses, which means that tumors were found, but they turned out not to be cancerous. As a result, I've had 6 biopsies and I've had in all 14 surgeries. My eyes are suicidal in the sense that I suffer from something called bilateral corneal dystrophy. I was almost blind in 1983. And once again, I was almost blind 4 years ago, that is in 2016. I have undergone 5 corneal transplants. So when you donate your eyes, it helps people like me. I've had 2 surgeries for glaucoma, and I have lost count of the number of laser surgeries that I have had. What I'm telling you is all what I consider the big notes or the big currency notes. ये सब 2000 की नोट है. The chota paisa, or as we say in Gujarati, parchuran, I'm not even telling you about. I've undergone a cardiac bypass, and I think of the lot, the cardiac bypass and the bladder surgery have been the most difficult to handle. And I love music, so I'm going to share some of my music with you. And so here goes. So I'm always seeking chain for my heart. I'm diabetic, and so I'm constantly, every time I see food, most people can just eat it. I can't. I have to be extra careful. And being diabetic, I have to be careful about sugar. And I manage to resist most things, but what I cannot resist is hot jalebi. And if there is a live counter which is turning out hot jalebis, I really go through a very difficult dilemma. Khaye ya na khaye? And then you start thinking, oh God, why am I even alive? So rather than getting into such difficult questions, I take a little bit, not a lot, maybe three or four. And another strange thing is that these jalebis actually sing to me. Here is what they sing. I suddenly realized that my sugar is running down and I better eat the jalebis. Now, I have found a jalebi for diabetics. I'm telling you about this because you have to always find a way to achieve your goals. Life is not going to cooperate, people are not going to cooperate, your goals are your own. So, my body doesn't cooperate, but I still have to find a way to have jalebi and not feel guilty. What I do is I tell the man at the counter to fry them, to make them really crisp. And then I tell him to dip it into the sugar syrup for only a second. And I have what I call a diabetic jalebi. I can have them without feeling too guilty. I'm also hypertensive. Why not? These three are brothers, they go together: a heart problem, diabetes, and hypertension. So, salt, sugar, oil, water, and even air, because I get breathless at times, um, are difficult for me. Water is difficult because to decrease the load on my heart, I have been asked to drink only 1.5 liters of water. So, I pour out this much water. This much is what I get for a day. And you think you have a crisis? This is the grammar of my life. I just took 11 pills. I was showing Himadri before this conference started. And you were saying, sir, this is your breakfast. I said, yes, it is. I take 11 in the morning, I take 6 in the evening, I put eye drops 7 times a day, and I inject myself with insulin 4 times a day. This is the grammar of my life. There is also the poetry. Life is, all this is what has happened to me. But life is not just what happens to you. It is what you do with what happens to you. So COVID can cause a lockout, but what do you do with the lockout is the question. So when life happens to you and in a challenging way, will you break or will you stretch? As I already told you, I believe in stretching. And, here's my philosophy, life's philosophy in a song. Okay. And ahead he sings, बर्बादियों का शोज मनाना फिजूल था. It wasn't, there was no point in getting frustrated with all the disasters that came my way. बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया. So I have celebrated every disaster, so called, and I don't call them disasters, so I'm going to come to the nomenclature that I use. Every challenge that has come my way, I've taken it as a challenge, as prasad from the gods, and I've enjoyed it. I've celebrated it. The greatest compliment that I get, and sometimes, I have twice had this situation where there was a problem with my heart. I knew that there was something going on which wasn't right. And I wanted to go to the hospital. Now, I also happen to live alone. I didn't want to wake up my neighbors. It was like 3 in the morning. Didn't want to wake up my neighbors. I didn't want to wake up my friends. I asked for an Ola. And the second time I asked for an Uber. And I told them my situation. And I said, can you please carefully take me to the hospital? So they were very kind. They understood. They drove slowly. They drove carefully. They kept asking me, how are you now? How are you feeling now? Are you okay? Hospital wasn't too far away. It was in Baroda. Baroda is a smaller town relatively. So there I was at the hospital counter and I said, there's a check-in and my doctor is Dr. Chauhan and I'm not feeling well. And so the person said, fine, name of the patient, age of the patient, doctor is Dr. Chauhan, etc., etc. And then they said, okay, where is the patient? I said, I told you, I am the patient. And I think this is the greatest compliment that I get. Because nobody will believe me. You meet me on the street, you will not believe that the history that I've just told you about has actually happened to me. I sent this book to a friend of mine who I was meeting again after 40 years, the 45 years, the wonders of Facebook. And she lives in the US and she got hold of the book. I mean, she got the book and then she read it. And then she says, it's a work of fiction, right? It's not true, right? I said, it's true. She says, how can so much happen to one person? And believe me, I live a hyper normal life. I don't lead a normal life. People in normal health would find it difficult to keep up with the kind of work that I do and the kind of travel that I put in. This is me in Bangalore. The last time that I ended up in intensive care, my potassium levels were too high. That's very dangerous. And so they took me into intensive care. And you can see I have an oxygen mask on. I've kept my glasses on because I want to see what the heck is happening around me. Don't want to miss any of the action. And you will notice another thing. The man behind the mask is smiling. This hospital forgot to take my mobile phone away from me. So when that happens, I click selfies and I get onto WhatsApp and I tell people where I am and so on. So how have I coped? How do I still continue to smile and lead a hyperactive life? When I was writing the book, I obviously had to write how it is that I'm coping. And not just coping, enjoying, celebrating, doing what I do. So how do I do it? And then I realized that there's a pattern. Every time a crisis occurs, there are certain things that I do. Okay? See, the fundamental principle here is complete faith in the Almighty, in the Paramatma. The more challenges come my way, the more I realize how wonderful this ultimate being is, who guides our destinies, who guides our lives, who runs the universe. He'll take you through what he sends you. He will take you through every challenge that he sends to you, whether you believe him or not. You don't need to believe in him. It's like gravity. You don't need to believe in gravity. You jump off a balcony, you're going to fall. That's gravity. So he's going to take you through whatever it is that he sends your way. Because you do badly in an exam, the teacher doesn't stop teaching you. He's that kind of a teacher. He'll set a tough exam. Now, if you genuinely believe in him, the process will be easier for you. आपका काम आसान हो जाएगा. Mano ya na mano, he's going to take you through it. The other thing is the Paramatma can give you more than you can handle. You may say something like, मेरे से नहीं होता, मगर उससे होगा. So he will not give you more than he can handle. You know, smart people don't ask stupid questions. And I think I'm pretty smart. I have never asked why me. ये मेरे साथ क्यों होता है? Because that is the stupidest question. किसको पूछोगे? अच्छा, पूछा, किसी ने जवाब दिया. Supposing somebody answers you, हाँ मैं तुझी को भेज रहा हूं, I'm going to keep challenging you. कर ले जो तेरे से होता है वो. No point asking this question, it doesn't take you anywhere. Now, what this means is that you must embrace what happens and still do your very best. Not, using health as an excuse, using anything as an excuse. I have a terrible boss. That is no excuse for not giving 100% to your job. The first principle is take a policy decision to be happy, no matter what. मैं खुश रहूंगा. कर लो जो करना है. I am going to remain happy. This is a very important decision that you need to make for your life. Being unhappy or worrying never solves problems. There is never once that I have not smiled through all of this. And I've gone through it with ease. Why? Because there is ease here. Be an exclamation mark. Don't be a full stop. बनना है तो comma बनो. Why? Because something is coming ahead. बनना है तो question mark बनो. Be a question mark because it means curiosity. But my preference is exclamation mark. Wonderment. Do what you love or learn to love what you do. Life is too short. I am very fortunate that although I was trying to be a chemical engineer, I still ended up into this profession that I utterly love. I've tried to retire so many times. I have not been able to retire because I love my work too much. I have enough. There's really no need for me to work. But I continue to work. Why? Because I love what I do. And I have never been bored in my life. And I have never felt, why the heck am I doing this? Why am I not buying and selling shares, for example? Though I have nothing against that. I think it's a great activity. So do what you love or learn to love what you do. After all, that work has come to you through God's blessings. There are so many people that don't have work. So many people that don't have paying work. There are so many people that are sitting around and vegetating, not realizing the value of life. So, learn to love what you do. Bhagwan ne kaam diya hai, prem se karo. Himadri mentioned these awards. One day I was sitting in my home and, these two awards came in the same year, 2017. And they are therefore side by side. ऐसे ही हो गया, बाजू बाजू में है. So I was sitting on a sofa and looking at them, and I said, "Oh, I got this VCare Victor Award for overcoming cancer." And in spite of that, I got the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Indian Society for Training and Development. I immediately corrected myself. I said, it's not in spite of that, it is because of that. Cancer taught me to value every moment, to put life, to squeeze life out of every moment. And as a result, my professional colleagues chose to recognize me and give me this award. I do what I love and I love what I do. It's my karma, dharma, and purpose to facilitate learning. I understand the cascading impact of my training. Today you are listening to me. Tomorrow you will tell others. You'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me on YouTube. Have somebody listen to my lecture. Or you will share the learnings with the people around you. And that is what I mean by cascading impact. I want to die presenting. I don't want to die. I'm in no hurry to die. I'm enjoying what I do. I'm enjoying life. But, I want to, like Dr. Abdul Kalam, I want to pop off. But after completing my presentation. So some poor organizer, like a good friend of mine, Himadri, I would not like to leave him in a lurch, by dying halfway through a presentation. It should happen at the end, like a good accountant wants to die on the 31st of March, not start a new financial year and create complications. I've gone through most of this without my, into inverted commas, family. And therefore, that brings me to the next principle, which is whoever is with you is your family. And God always smiles. वो किसी ना किसी को भेज ही देता है. He always sends somebody. Always. The right people enter my life with clockwork regularity. You can see here Dr. Kshama Bhatia, Dr. Rupal Shah, Dr. John Alpar. Dr. Kshama Bhatia is not a medical doctor, but she's my business partner. And I will tell you about their roles. And, please do read the book. I'm not trying to sell you the book, but do read the book because it tells you in detail everything that I've done to overcome the obstacles in my life. The stage is constantly being set. The first time that the first situation that started in my life, I don't call it a problem, I call it a situation. The first situation that started in my life was that of losing my vision. It happened very gradually, but by 1983, I was almost blind. And I was at that point living in Baroda and Ahmedabad. Now you tell me what a Hungarian engine driver has anything to do with somebody who's going blind and lives in Ahmedabad. But see the sequence of events. See how the stage is set by the Almighty. He harbored the dream to be a doctor. He saved enough money from his work to go to medical school. With a great deal of personal difficulty, he did become a doctor. And he decided to be an ophthalmologist, an eye doctor. And he decided to immigrate. Now, being associated with the railways, he was very interested in India. Can you even guess why? In India, we have all these different gauges on which we run our trains. There is a toy train gauge. There is a hill station gauge. There is narrow gauge. There is meter gauge. And there is broad gauge. We're trying to convert everything into broad gauge. But at that point back in 83, we were running all these and we were running steam engines, which were outdated in Europe. We were running diesel engines and we were running electrical engines. I was very interested in India on the account of that. So every time he got a chance, every time there was a conference in India, he would come for it. Somebody saw his great work and he said, Parimal, you must see him. This guy has a solution to your problem. I had already been to the best corneal surgeon in India at that point, and the surgery that they had done had not worked. Dr. Alpar took one look at me and he says, I can resolve your problem, young man, but you will have to come to the United States. You'll have to come to my clinic and my hospital. I didn't have the money. I filed it up in the back of my head If I go to the United States, a solution is available. And I will connect up with Ashok Bhai, whose name I've written here a little later. So no matter what my problem, someone has been put in place to help me to solve it. आगे आगे प्रॉब्लम आता है और एक स्टेप पीछे सॉल्यूशन आता है. That is why I begin my book with this statement. I don't believe in miracles. I depend on them. Here's a song for you. So जब भी मेरा सर टकरा जाता है, there's somebody singing this song and coming towards me. This is Dr. John Alpar, my eye doctor. Phenomenal human being. I mean, these are gods moving around on earth, really. Well, to cut a long story short, I got selected by Rotary International for the Group Study Exchange Program. I was a standby candidate. I still turned up for the interview. I was in Baroda at that time and the interview was in Ahmedabad, and people were telling me, why are you going? You don't know anybody. You're only a standby. They may not even interview you. I said, I have to try. Because Rotary was paying for the trip to the US. And it happens to, Rotary takes people to many countries. In this case, it was the US. The main candidate did not turn up, and the standby candidate who knew nobody got selected, me. You got to try. You got to turn up. Lovely story of people who were going to pray for rain. One little girl took her umbrella. All the others were without the umbrellas. I had faith. Kuch na kuch hoga. And it happens for you. Well, I got selected and then I got cancer for the first time. Early 1984, I was diagnosed with having cancer, Hodgkin's disease. Now, this meant two things. In the normal course, I would have to stay for chemotherapy and radiation, a process which would take in that time almost a year. But before even starting treatment, they would cut me open from the top of my chest to my pelvis and open the body and look inside and see what was wrong and would remove the tumors, if any. And this surgery was called a staging laparotomy, and it would take 4 months to recover from it. And the group study exchange program was in 2 months' time. Well, when I was a babe in arms, my family had, put me with the grandparents, and they had gone on vacation to, Mount Abu in Rajasthan, where they ran into another family, the Mehta family from Mumbai. They exchanged addresses. Now tell me, how many phone numbers have we exchanged? How many addresses have we exchanged and never followed up with them? My parents and the Mehta family followed up. Now, they were Palanpuri Jains, that Mehta family. And I don't know if you know, but Palanpuri Jains control the diamond trade. There was a boy in the family. The entire family was in the diamond trade. This boy had made up his mind to become a doctor. Not only did he become a doctor, he became an onco-surgeon, one of the topmost in the country. My sisters were tying a rakhi to him every year. He was like their brother. He was, we looked up to him. Our families visited each other whenever we went to each other's towns. He took my wedding pictures. We were that close. So what do you do? Acha, he was also a Rotarian, and he had group study exchange scholars stay with him. So he understood this program as well. And he knew about the problem with my eyes. So and that's really the song of my life. जम के रखना कदम, और मैंने हमेशा by God जम के ही कदम रखा है. I have not backed down. Now tell me, on the one hand you select vision, on the other hand you select life. That means take treatment for your cancer. And remember, in that period, cancer was considered as good as cancel. What would you have done in this situation? Saved your life or tried to save your vision? See, again, I don't ask myself stupid questions. This either or business chalta nahi hai. So I asked Ashok Bhai a question. I said, what if I go to the United States, get my eyes fixed, and come back and take the treatment? Because you are saying that, he said to my parents that it's a slow growing disease. And these days, nobody dies of Hodgkin's disease. ये लड़का तुम्हारा जिएगा, please don't worry. So I asked, please remember earlier I said it's a stupid question. Perhaps this question is even more stupid, but I had to ask it. What if I go to the United States, go through the Rotary program very sincerely, get my vision fixed, come back and take treatment? He says, I have to get you to go through one test if you want to do it, and then I can answer yes or no. So what test is that? See how technology helps. ये staging laparotomy तो करना ही था. Had the disease spread a lot, he would not have allowed me to go. How do you not do a staging laparotomy and still take the decision to postpone treatment? That is the year in which the CAT scan, which we now take for granted, was introduced into India. There was only one machine. It was at Nanavati Hospital. Since it saved so many surgeries, the waiting list for that CAT scan was 6 months. I didn't have 6 months to wait. And I didn't want a staging laparotomy. I wanted to go. The goal was very clear. Obstacles are those terrible things that come in your way when you lose sight of your goals. मैं तो पहुंच गया नानावटी हॉस्पिटल. I asked Ashok Bhai, I said, what would be the requirements? He says, you'll have to go fasting. But he says, there is this line. I said, I know. 6 months waiting. I said, you, sir, Ashok Bhai, you just wait. I'll get you the report. So when I landed up, they said, do you have an appointment? I said, I don't have an appointment, but if somebody doesn't come, please take me. They begin operations. They used to begin operations at 9 o'clock. The 9 o'clock patient did not turn up. Faith, my friends, faith can move mountains. That evening, I had my report. The disease had not spread. Soon I was on a flight to the United States. So think out of the box. Take risks. It was a great risk. I mean, nobody in their right mind, no patient will say, treatment बाद में लेता हूं. What if it had galloped? What if the cancer had galloped? Do you avoid acting because of fear of failure? Just imagine a chicken refusing to come out of the egg, or a butterfly refusing to come out of the cocoon. Because if you avoid acting because of fear of failure, you will also be avoiding success.
Absolutely.
Himadri, are you trying to say something to me?
No, because
Okay, all right. Yeah. So, fulfilling dreams involves risks and failure. God wants to know how serious you are about your dreams before letting you achieve success. A small song for you about a dream.
So the audio isn't coming across as clearly as it should. Your songs are not playing. So what I would recommend
Okay.
is maybe you can share your screen again, and
Yes, let me do
you need
that.
to go on to the.
Sure. I'll stop the sharing. Let me come back here. Apologies about that, my friends
Not
in
at
the
all.
audience.
Meanwhile, folks, in case you've got any questions for Parimal Bhai, you might want to put them up on the chat box or the comment section, wherever you are on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook.
I'm
And
sharing the
Mr.
screen
Gandhi
again,
would
Himadri.
picking it up.
And I'm sharing the audio. I've ticked
Please
that
do that. Yeah.
share. Got it.
All
And
right.
let me, I'll have to find the, there we go. Okay, is the screen okay?
Screen good.
Okay. Tell me about the song, okay? I'll pause.
Good. We are getting it now.
Thank you.
मैं तो बादलों से दूर जाऊंगी, मैं तो अपना ही सुर पाऊंगी, है जो क्रेजी क्रेजी सपने मेरे सारे चुन के मैं भूल आऊंगी हमारे.
When you do something different, people will judge you. And I had tremendous opposition from my family when I decided to go to the US. They said, "You're crazy." And I kept telling them, "Look, if I don't do this, my vision doesn't get fixed. And what is the point of being alive but being blind? I'm willing to take the risk." And they said, "It's your life." When they couldn't convince me, they said, "It's your life." I said, "Yes, it's my life." So risk to lena padega, because when you dream of something, you're trying to do something that others have not done. And when others have not done it, they will feel threatened by both your failure and your success. But you got to pursue. You got to pursue your dreams.
Sure.
कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, छोड़ो बेकार की बातों में कहीं बीत न जाए रहना, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे.
And here I don't mean don't listen to your parents. I don't mean don't listen to your siblings, your family members, people who mean well. Listen to them and make your dream foolproof. Make it shock proof. Exercise your right to try and do it till you succeed. So there I was on the Rotary International program, and I had never met this couple. They had never met me. They had not heard about me. I had not heard about them. But in this Rotary program, you go and stay with 10 different families for 3-4 days each, and you study their way of life. And they try and pair you with people who are in the same kind of business. And I met these people at a district conference. They took a liking to me, and they said, we want this boy to come and stay with us. I went and stayed with them, had a wonderful time. Very witty gentleman, very caring lady. They became my parents in the United States, John and Eloise Turrell. They saw the difficulty that I had reading. I was reading with a magnifier like this. I would hold the paper here, take a magnifier, read it like this. And they said, why are you reading like this? And I said, I have this problem. Why don't you do something about it? I said, it costs about $7,000-8,000. I don't have the money. God bless their souls. They started a Parimal Gandhi corneal transplant fund in that Rotary district. The first example of crowdsourcing that I've seen. Somebody gave $50, somebody gave $100, somebody gave $500. In about a week, they had collected $8,000, and they said, here it is. It's a gift from the Rotary. Please get your eyes fixed. We don't want you to go back without a vision. What a magnificent gesture. That gesture changed my life. You may think that your 50 rupees don't matter, your 100 rupees don't matter. But when you see a good cause, please contribute. Jitna hota hai, 10 rupiya do. Doesn't matter. Well, I ended up with Dr. John Alpar in Amarillo, Texas. He did a corneal transplant, and the cornea was American. So an American came and stayed inside me. And this is what a corneal transplant looks like. So you have the original cornea, and then, a part of the donor's cornea is removed. And these lines that you see are stitches. So I have undergone a corneal transplant recently. And here, for example, there are 6 stitches which are in this right eye, and there are 16 stitches in the left eye. They have not removed them. Well, I came back home to my sister's place in Dallas, Texas, and everything had changed. I asked her, I said, have you changed the carpet or have you shampooed the carpet? She says, no, it's the same carpet. It was very dull when I left. It suddenly became very bright when I returned. And the girls all looked prettier. And I was teasing my sister. I said, I didn't see the wrinkles on your face when I left. And I see them now. And of course, she went after me with a frying pan. And I read can you believe it? I read the a telephone directory. Us zamane mein there used to be these huge, thick telephone directories. And I read it, just for the joy. I didn't know anybody. I wasn't looking for a number. I counted all the Patels, all the Mettas, all the Shahs in the telephone directory just because I could do it. You have no idea. We take our vision for granted. We take everything for granted. Body to hai. You have no idea what happens when you lose it. So having regained it was like the greatest gift. Another interesting thing happened. After the surgery, when I was in the Amarillo hospital, both doctors, surgeons and the anesthesiologist, they come and meet the patient. It's a courtesy. And they ask him how he's feeling and so on. So my anesthesiologist turned up, gentleman from our country, Dr. Mahendra Patel. He says, look, you are from my state, I am from your state. You are Gujarati, I am Gujarati. You are from my country, I am from your country. No charges. He could have charged me $1,000 for standing in at the surgery. And he says, Dr. Alpar is smiling. His gift is even bigger because he has decided not to charge you either. I mean, kyun? You tell me, should I not believe in the Paramatma? Should I not believe in God? When you hear this story, don't you believe in God? Somebody that doesn't know me collects, goes around with a begging bowl, give this guy some money so he can go back with his vision. Collects $8,000 from me. And then somebody knowing that I have the money doesn't charge me. So what did I do? I had saved $8,000. I decided to take my chemotherapy and my radiation in the United States. There are two name brand hospitals. One is Memorial Sloan Kettering, where all our heroes, heroines, and prime ministers and presidents go. And the other is the MD Anderson Hospital. I went to the MD Anderson Hospital because they did not do, there's a lot of sound coming. Can you mute it, please? So, because they did not do a staging laparotomy, they had another procedure, which was non-invasive. Went there, I started taking my chemotherapy, which is like poison. And sometimes the side effects of the chemotherapy are worse than the disease. But you want to save your life, right? So I underwent it. And I underwent radiation. I had about 3 months, so there were about 40 sessions of radiation that I had. For a period of about 10 minutes, I was alone in that room. Nobody can come in. Nobody should come in. You're alone with your God. In that room, I made a lot of decisions. I started out as a trainer in 1976, but I was doing it part-time because training was not fashionable then. You couldn't get enough work to survive. And Baroda is a small town. I said, this is what I love to do. Life is short. And I'm going to do what I love to do. And I said, I'm going to travel and I'm going to do all my hobbies because I don't know how long I'm going to live. So I decided to take lots of pictures. I love taking pictures. I'm a photographer. Amateur, of course, not very good, but still. And I decided to pursue music. You can see my love for music. So these were the decisions that I made, and I said, "Kisi ke sunne wala main nahi hu. I'm going to do what, but no harm to anybody, and in a very responsible way. I will lead my life in my own way." Well, I wanted to travel the United States, and I wanted to travel Europe on my way back. United States ke liye I had a visit USA ticket, so no problem. Lots of cousins and friends everywhere. I had an uncle living in New York. Went and visited all of them. Saw the United States. When I went to my cousin in Los Angeles, she said, "Let me take you to Las Vegas." Gave me $50 to gamble with. I told her, I said, "I can't give you this money back." She says, "I don't want it back. I want you to lose it. If you come to Las Vegas and you don't gamble even a little bit, then you're not getting the flavor of this town." So I converted the $50 into 5-cent pieces, which is like, I had maybe 500 coins, 1,000 coins. So there was a tub full of coins which I was carrying. I went to the nearest slot machine. Teen patti vagera, I don't know roulette. I don't understand. I've never gambled since, and I'd never gambled before that. And this is going to be difficult for you to believe, but I put in my first 5-cent coin. I hit the jackpot and I won $800. You know that famous dialogue? Ja Simran ji le apni zindagi. This was like me saying, okay, fine, go off to Europe. Traveled the United States, traveled Europe. Didn't have enough money to stay in hotels, so I stayed the night on the train. People in India, of course, most of them can sleep on the railways. For me, I had no problem at all. I slept very well at night. and saw many cities in Europe. Memorable trip. And so the Golden Gate Bridge and the Eiffel Tower were part of the itinerary. Saw a number of other things. Landed back in India. Chapter of my life had closed, and developed a client. Many clients through the years. I have a couple of hundred clients, 110,000 participants, or 115,000 participants actually. And I've had the privilege of training 1,500 trainers. That's my mission in life. And one of our partners, the Academy of Human Excellence, which is my organization, is also in Mexico. And these are our two partners, Dr. Kshama Patia and the former president of Mexico, President Vicente Fox. How I ran into him is another story. Your life purpose is a ship that can take you through every storm. Please make your life worth living. आपको क्यों रखा जाए इधर? I feel that God is, evaluating every minute. Is this guy worth keeping in the world, or should I take his life and give it to someone else? If you're boring, routine, normal, humdrum, क्यों आपको जिंदा रखे भगवान? But if you're contributing, you're doing something great, you're trying to do something great, God will say, रखो इसको, भला करेगा कुछ. Traveled a lot. This is a volcano in Hawaii. All pictures taken by me. This is a person diving off the cliff at Bhedaghat on the Narmada near Jabalpur. This is Iguazu Falls on the Brazil-Argentina border. This is Machu Picchu in Peru. Shanghai. I guess I should take this picture out. Anyway, after the heart surgery, I asked my son if he wanted to get into the learning and development business. He said no. So I decided that I would have my professional children. Always find a way. So that I have done. I tried to understand why this has happened to me. And when I started studying spirituality is when I realized that in my past births, I must have done some terribly wrong things. And so I'm paying off my karmic debt. Glad to do it. Glad to do it because so much has happened to me in one life. I'm glad I must have exhausted so much of my negative balance.
Hi there. It's currently 11:50.
Please give me a moment.
With a current temperature of...
Himadri, I'm good for another 5 minutes. I hope that's okay.
No worries, sir.
Okay. So, the negative balance should have been depleted quite a lot because the fruits of those bad things, those pap karma that I must have done, I've paid for. But in my past lives, I must have done some tremendously good things also, which is why so many people come into my life. I've given you only 2 or 3 examples. Believe me, there are 25 such stories. I must have done a lot of positive things also, which is why the solution comes behind the challenge. I am my job. I cannot have job satisfaction without doing my job 200%. And if I don't do my job, I can't be happy. So if you're looking for happiness in life, if you are unhappy, please do your job 200%, whatever it is. Develop a sense of humor. We are all too serious about our lives. We don't have a smile on our faces. I'll tell you the story of the biopsy on 8th of October. I was getting the surgery done in Baroda. They called me at 8 in the morning. I had kind of bargained with them. Please do it in local anesthesia. And there are 3 tumors. Please remove all of them. And my doctors humor me. So they said, fine. And they called me at 8 in the morning. The surgery was at 10. And I arrived. They gave me the hospital uniform to wear. Shirt pehen liya maine. And then when I put on the lower garment, I found that both my legs were together. I said, how come? Such a big pajama. And I looked down. It wasn't a pajama. It was a petticoat. So I came out wearing the petticoat. Everybody laughed. And I asked the attendant, I said, is this the uniform in this hospital for all patients? He said, sorry, sir, I'll get you a pajama. Wore the pajama, went to the operation theater. I was sitting outside, or rather lying down outside, waiting for my turn. The surgeon, Dr. Rajiv Bhatt, came out and he asked me, he says, Parimal bhai, are you ready? I said, absolutely, but I have a question. I'm getting an echo, Himadri. So I said, absolutely, I'm ready. And but I have a question. What is the question? He says. I said, what surgery are you going to do to me? So he says, why? I'm removing 3 tumors from your armpit. Why do you ask? I said, because these guys gave me a petticoat to wear and I don't know what you are going to cut off. All of us laughed. And this is the mood with which I went into the operation theater. I underwent one surgery where the doctor was playing music. And during the surgery, I told him, I said, enough of this. Can't you play some old Hindi film songs? Another time I was talking to the doctor and the doctor said, you are distracting me. Please let me get on with the job. If you are scared, you will be scared. If you are fearful, you will have fear. If you are happy, you can be happy. It's up to you. Policy decision to be happy. Wonder at the positives around you. There's so much good happening around you. If you don't see it, it's because you're not looking. Be ready to clap. You know, if you remember, I said that in 83, I thought that I was not going to live very long. I thought maybe 4 or 5 years. That calculation was wrong. And a beautiful event occurred to me. And when I talk about wonder, I want you to see this face. This is wonder. This is my grandson who is 3 weeks old. And I wonder at God. Kahan mein, I thought by 88 I was gone. And here I am seeing this wonderful event. Be grateful. So many people are doing so much for you. Even though there is a lockout, even though people are putting their lives into danger, people are bringing things to your home, they are selling vegetables, they are getting exposed to so many people. There are nurses, doctors, policemen who are putting their lives at risk for all of us. There are people guarding the borders who are giving up their lives. How can we not be grateful? Avoid toxic words. So I've considered words like problem and unfortunate toxic. The words you use will determine how you look at them. I prefer to use the word situation. It's neutral. I prefer to use the word challenge, which is inspiring. And avoid toxic people. Avoid being toxic. Life is not a big competition. Sometimes, the bus is empty and the conductor is saying the bus is empty, don't push. Yet we push each other and try to get onto the bus. It's so unfortunate. We have to go from independence to interdependence. We are all interdependent. The Wuhan virus has shown us this. We are interdependent. We are one world. I am in charge of my life, no one else. I must not be helpless. I must generate options like the diabetic jalebi and like taking the, undergoing the corneal surgery first and the cancer treatment later. Make others happy. A small gesture goes a long way. Be random in your kindness. Every day decide, I'm going to be kind to somebody today. And value time. We are all on a countdown timer. I have been repeatedly reminded, but I don't know if you realize that you also are on a countdown timer. So live every moment, ration out every moment, invest every moment. Just, don't make your life a colossal time pass. I really don't know how all this is going to end, but one thing I can tell you, I'm going to make it a happy ending. Thank you very much, everyone, and questions are welcome. And these are the details of my book. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Kindle. Or you can note down this email ID and this telephone number. And you can contact me directly, as Himadri said. All options open to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It has been a stunning morning. What an investment we made this Sunday morning. Of course, I'd love to keep going through Can Surmount the session again and again and again. I'm sure I've heard this story so many times, but each time a new perspective keeps getting discovered. It's like reading the Bhagavad Gita. Every time you read a shlok, a new perspective, a new meaning would come and stare you in the face. And this is what happens every time I meet you. Uh, Folks, each time I pick up the phone and we have a conversation, me and Parimal Bhai, an average time is between 35 minutes to 45 minutes. So that's how much I keep looking forward to my talks with him. And this is one of the most amazing things about Parimal Bhai, wherever he would be, uh, in his home in Baroda, at his workplace in Bangalore, where the lockdown has kept him for the last 3.5, 4 months now, or he's in the US or traveling anywhere. The quality of conversations and the duration, they never change. And that's the measure of the man for you. He
It's
loves
mutual, Himadri, it's mutual. I love speaking to you. I love meeting you.
So we've got a few questions, Parimal Bhai. Some suggestions people would want to seek from you. One is
Sure.
from our, Mr. RSV Krishna. He says, can you give a single line message to the younger generation who think of ending lives despite facing situations which might at times not be as tough as yours?
I'm so much in the other direction. I travel so much in the other direction that, I find this, life is so beautiful. क्या बोलूं आप लोगों को? Life is so incredibly beautiful. How can you not live it? How can you not live it? You must live every moment. And every day, week, month, year that God has blessed you with. You have to live it. Find the beauty in life. And that is up to you, really. You can choose to make yourself happy or unhappy. And that is why I say take a policy decision to be happy. It doesn't mean I'm never unhappy. Please understand that. I've had times in my life. I remember I was in the basement of a gymnasium in, the Sterling Gym, Himadri, in Baroda. I was in the steam room. I was all by myself. I was very unhappy at that point. And that is where I realized that I have to decide to be happy. Nobody in life is invested in your happiness except the people that genuinely love you. Nobody else is invested in your life. They are not in your life to make you happy. They are in life to make themselves happy. And I wish that they would do it. Because if they had happiness, they would give happiness. And another time I was really upset and I, went to a temple which is in our, in the complex that I live in, Baroda. And I said, Bhagwan, nahi hota hai mere se. Aap chala lo. I felt so relieved. Chhod diya Bhagwan par. But life is too beautiful. Man, give me another life. I'm happy to live it. Make it beautiful. Make it worth living. ऐसा कुछ करो that you enjoy yourself.
So there is a question from Mr. Aman Shukla. He says something about the subconscious mind. So he says, is there something called the power of subconscious mind? Subconsciously, you were always positive. Was that it?
I'll tell you, the subconscious mind is 8/9 of the iceberg. You only see 1/9 of the iceberg, which is above the surface. 8/9 is below. I was having a lot of angina attacks, and I had a lot of, pain in the left arm and pain in the jaw and congestion and so on. And I would keep taking sorbitrates. I was eating sorbitrate like a popcorn, and it's supposed to be an emergency medicine. So then I spoke to my doctor. My doctor is very wise. And he says, I'm blessed with great doctors. I mean, my cardiologist is also incredible. There are two of them. One is in Baroda, one is in Bangalore. And so in this case, I was with Dr. Charit Bhogaraj. And he said, Mr. Gandhi, your heart is perfectly fine. Your heart is as good as mine. He sent me to a psychiatrist. Now, the last thing I am is depressed. The psychiatrist says, you are depressed, sir. I was unwilling to believe it. That is the one time in my life when I cried. He says, I just suggest one thing to you. I'm suggesting a pill. Please take it. If the incidents of your taking sorbitrate reduce, you continue this pill. Taking sorbitrate, which I was doing every alternate day, came down to 0. अब दिमाग में कोई वरी नहीं थी, कोई टेंशन नहीं था, कोई चिंता नहीं थी. At the conscious level. At the subconscious level, it must have been having an impact. डॉक्टरों की सुनो. And if you have to go to a psychiatrist, go to a psychiatrist. अरे यार body को, do you feel bad if something happens to your eye? Don't you go to a doctor? If something happens to your mind, go to a doctor. What is the big deal? क्यों रखे उनको?
So, can you briefly, if possible today, or maybe we can have it sometime in the coming part, there is a member of our audience, one of the premium Mehndi artists across the world. She would like to know something about your spiritual journey. So, how does spirituality take you on this path of seeing miracles day in, day out?
As it happens with a lot of teachers of physics and chemistry and mathematics and English, and who know their subjects exceedingly well, but are very poor teachers. The same thing is happening with spirituality. And you do need to know the nomenclature. I'll tell you what I mean. If you want to learn classical music, or even you want to appreciate classical music, you have to know what is sur, what is rag, what is tal, what are the different rags, what are the different gharanas. That is your down payment. Similarly, in spirituality, you have to make a down payment. ये समझने के लिए. Now, the problem is this. Here you are programmed. Please remember, you are an immortal soul. You have come programmed with that knowledge, but you don't know it. It's inside you. तो ये आपको बाहर से सीखना पड़ेगा जो आपके अंदर है already. And for that, you require a good teacher. See, आप किसी को सुनो spirituality पर और आपकी pitch नहीं पड़ रही है, you are not able to understand. The problem is not with you, the problem is with the teacher. Because it is the teacher's job to make your life simple in understanding that subject. It is the teacher's job to, make you fall in love with the subject. If you are in Baroda and you speak Gujarati, I would very strongly recommend going to an organization called the Sampurna Jeevan Trust. Please contact me. I'll give you more information. They are doing a great job of disseminating spirituality. That's where I go to learn. And whatever I learn, I also teach. So I'm also teaching there. But do pursue it. You are born in this soil. This is your birthright, my friends. ये जानना जरूरी है. It will give you a roadmap, not just for this life, for all your lives.
She would also like to have your playlist. I think you had some stunning songs, being played today. So, can you share your playlist as well? Yeah,
Certainly.
well,
certainly.
friends, we would also be very happy. Possibly some other time we can take Parimal Bhai on a session of songs from Bollywood, and he would
I'd
take
be
you on a
loving it.
mesmerizing journey.
I would love
That
to
is
do it. Anything for you, anytime, Himadri.
And that was an amazing thing that he had already suggested. He can surmount from कर ही सकते हैं दूसरा वाला, and दूसरा वाला is where his penchant for music that comes in. There is a question again that comes in, and this question says that अगर आपके जीवन में जो challenges आए वो नहीं आए होते तो क्या आपका जीवन ऐसा ही होता?
Oh, I would not be who I am. Life would have been so boring. Life would have been so horrible. Today, I feel myself abundantly wealthy, and I don't mean my bank balance. I have led a rich life. So I am who I am because of what I've gone through. There are two ways in which they make, two of the common ways in which parts are made. One of them is what is called casting. So they pour metal into a mold and they cast it. And castings are fragile. Usko ek hammer maro hathoda and, टूट जाएगा. And the other way in which they make tools is forging. उसको मार के उसको बनाते हैं. So I have been forged. And really, I would not be who I am. Would I like a normal life? The answer is no. I'm happy to have had this life. If people would ask me, would you live the same life again? And I would say it would be a little boring to go through it again. But agar different challenges mile, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that's got a different bit of a challenge, some more bit of challenge, because I think we would not wish any further health challenges on you, but you are one person who would always keep telling maybe the gods of health, bring it on, aane do. There's more these
Yeah.
shoulders can, but
जो
we
देना
would.
है भगवान को, जो भी देना है लेने को तैयार हूँ, with all humility. सब प्रसाद है, we have to accept it. क्या कर लेंगे? We don't control that. What we control is our response. And एक बार होता है तो one can understand, one is taken aback. अब 2 बार हुआ, 3 बार हुआ, 4 बार हुआ, बार बार हुआ. By now I'm an expert. I consider myself an expert patient. So when I, God bless his soul, when I, take an appointment from a doctor, for my eye doctor, for example, the last appointment I took, I said I have to come for pentachem and possible removal of stitches, because they are not seeing patients otherwise. So
This is an interaction with you which I'd love to have this thing continue for the next couple of hours, but we have that limitation of time. However, to all our friends who were with us today, who are with us right now, it is a commitment from me to you, and on behalf of everyone at Youth Talks. The next time you'd want to have a session, maybe an extended coaching session or something like a mentoring session with Parimal Bhai. He's already told me many times that anything that can help people become better version of themselves, he's always willing to serve. And more so, anyone who's got any bit of challenges, Parimal Bhai is always ready to be your sounding board as well. कई बार ऐसा होता है कोई हमको सुन भी ले, and that is where you find Parimal Bhai always willing to get into a conversation. And you heard his tone, tenor of his, the timbre of his voice. It is so soothing. Stress इनसे बात करने के बाद ऐसे ही भाग जाता है. So if you are stressed, if you are in distress, if you want to look up to something which is lively, which is full of energy, full of spunk, Parimal Bhai is is your go-to man. Please do connect with him on the email ID, the number that he has shared. And I'm sure, like I have been, like my family has been touched so deeply by his presence, you too would be. So with this, it's thank you, Parimal Bhai, from everyone at Youth Talks. Thanks a lot for making this a grand Sunday investment on my invite. This is one favor which I'm sure I'll always be indebted to you. This is something which you've served so many people through your talks. So thank you once again for coming on board. Thank you
Himadri,
very
I
much.
want to thank you. The thanks are not required, but the gratitude is mutual. And please share my email address and my phone number freely. And if people need to contact me, let them do so. And I don't, like I saw 2 or 3 phone calls right now. But if I'm in a session, I don't take calls. But I will call you back. I'm very good about calling back. So,
Oh, he is. He is.
Himadri, it's a pleasure to know you and your family. I am also equally, I feel enlightened every time that I meet you and Sarita and your wonderful son. And so the pleasure is all mutual. I'm available for the Bollywood songs appreciation session anytime you want. Set the date, I'll be
That,
there.
done. That is one thing which we want to happen, because one of
Sure.
our friends also tuned in today, Mr. Kunal Patwa. He's a great fan of appreciating the Bollywood songs and anything that's got to do with music. So we'll surely have a session on that with you, folks. It's
God
been a
bless you, Himadri. God bless you and Sarita and your son for this magnificent effort that you people are doing. This is classically what we call Nishkam Karma. You don't even know who's benefiting from it, and that's what you want. Amazing.
So the benefits are going to be in the subtle realm. We don't know when, how, and that's what I did not even think about when we started these talks. Like we've got our partners, from Odisha, the Vikash group of
Yes.
institutions. having 12,000 students, 3,000, teaching and admin staff. They have joined in. So possibly this initiative going all the way to helping Mr. Murali Krishna's initiative, a man who created a mammoth organization to uplift the rural, youth in Orissa, or alive again in the southern part of Gujarat, trying to spread a lot of health around. I guess this is in the wider, realm, things might be visible later on, but right now, like you said, मजा आ रहा है सर करके, लोगों से मिलना मजा आ रहा है. आप
My
जैसे लोग
compliments to him and his organization too.
Sure. I'm sure he's
Please
listening
continue.
to us right now as well. So once again, on behalf of everyone at Youth Talk, sir, thank you so much, and have a great Sunday, folks. Tomorrow evening, it is 5 p.m. When Youth Talks would be back with you, and that would be a conversation with Captain Raghu Raman, one of India's most loved speakers on strategy, on leadership, a man who's seen combat in Siachen, a man who has been a part of the UN peacekeeping force, somebody who was called upon by the government of India, drafted to lead the national intelligence grid. He will be with us tomorrow evening, 5 p.m. So do tune in and look forward to seeking and getting your feedback so we can make Youth Talks a better initiative. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.